For my final exam, I decided to select the property at 214 South Parkview Street in Los Angeles, California, 90057. It is a fourplex located near MacArthur and Echo Park. A quick property overview. It is comprised of 4 units, 3 of those units being 1 bedroom, 1 baths. Units 1 and 2 are on the base floor and are slight and have a larger living space. Units 3 and 4 are upstairs. Unit 4 has 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, so it does take a little bit of the space from Unit 3. Total lot size is 7,248 square feet. Plenty of room for parking. It actually has a wonderful wraparound driveway that comes through the front of the property and goes around the back. Even then, the back part of the driveway does not have to be used as parking. There's plenty of parking on the driveway on the side. Livable square footage is 3,328. It's, as I said, it's located near Griffith Park. Located near Echo Park, but also Griffith Park. It's right by Dodger Stadium, only about a 10-minute Uber ride, so it wouldn't be terrible at all. You could even take the bus. Super energetic nightlife. There's Calaveras and Bar Flores super nearby. It's also located by some metro lines, the one on Beverly and Vermont, which is pretty centralized, only a couple stops away from Universal City Walk or Union Station. The units are clean and incredibly well maintained. Tenants have been reliable and have been there for a while. MLS has shown year after year an increase in rent around 5%, which means the tenants are aware that they have a pretty nice property here and they're willing to pay the money for it. So the financial analysis for Parkview, the purchase price was 13 million. And I decided to compare 2 different down payments until I made a decision on which one to go forward with. So I decided to go with 25 and 40%. So that's 325,000 or 520,000. I use an amortization calculator online at a 4% 30-year fixed rate. So I got a mortgage of $5,117 for the 25% down and a $4,186 for the 40% down. For rent, I was able to find that information on the MLS, which was very helpful, so I calculated it right there. This is actually a 5% increase over the last rent posted, because last rent posted was for July 2021. So they are up for an update. For operational expenses, I kept everything pretty standard. Vacancy at 3%, even though I feel like this property wouldn't be vacant very often just because everything was showing the tenants have been there for a while. Repairs I have is at 3%. I feel this is fair. The property is well maintained. It is older, but I don't see something being needed to fix that frequently. But obviously, with an older property, you do need to allocate those for those expenses. Going down our financial analysis further, at this point was when I started comparing the 2 options of down payment, and I ultimately going to decide to go with the mortgage payment of a 60% LTV just because it's a lot lower and our cash flows will appreciate that savings. So a cash flow with the 40% down would be $1,441 per month, which is pretty nice. Cash on cash would be 3.3%. And then our total net operating income per month is $5,627. This is pre-mortgage. Then our cap rate's 5.19% and our gross rent multiplier is 13.57. The total funding needed for this project is $541,691. That this would be split half and half, so your portion of the share would be $270,000 up front. That would include down payment, some small fix-up fees just in case they are needed, and other preparational fees. Return on investment 8.84%, and return on equity is 8.37%. Equity at the end of the first year would be $572,000. The first property I selected to be comparable is a property on Summerest in Los Angeles, California. It's located just a couple miles southwest of the property. It was built around the same time. It's a fourplex as well. However, these units do have 2 bedrooms in each. It is in a less desirable part of town, so the average rent is lower than the property I have selected. So total rent for this area would, for the 4 units, would be $7,800, which would lead to a cash flow decrease because our rent is able to be a little bit more just because of the more prime area, a decrease of $281 a month. Cap rate would also decrease by 0.31%. However, the gross rent multiplier would increase by 0.85%. All other factors stayed the same. That I feel like due to the age, same repairs, it looks pretty well maintained as well. The biggest con against it really is its location. The property itself is really nice, but the rest of the area is a little rough. Same thing with this property. It's in a slightly less desirable part of town, but overall, the property seemed like a pretty good deal. They're very spacious units. They're big, but rent can go for as much. It's outdated. The property has not been as well maintained. It just has a lot of factors working against it. That it would be a total cash flow decrease of $1,337 a month, mostly because it has one less unit. It has a cap rate decrease of 1.23% and a gross rent multiplier increase of 2.84%. Pros for the property I've selected: that it has decent returns on equity and investment, around 8.3% for both. It does have positive cash flow, about $1,400 a month. And I think that's a pretty good cushion that if something happens, it won't be turning negative. And it should only be increasing year after year, ideally. I think it would be a great option for a 1031 exchange, just something you can buy now while it isn't too expensive and sell off in a couple years. The property in the area is only going to go up. I believe the area south of Echo Park is going to be the next Silver Lake, Echo Park, Los Feliz area. That you are seeing more bars, more restaurants navigating to that area and creating more of a modern hip vibe. And I believe that's only going to drive the price of this property to increase. Cons: does have a pretty high cost of entry. It's about $500,000 in total for funding to go forward with the project. Rent is lower than some of the buildings in the area just because it's older. Also because it's had long-term tenants, and it hasn't been raised as fast as other ones in the area. And the biggest issue in an older building always is the fear of repairs and the fear of cost and just maintaining your investment. It's a risk, but like I said, it's well maintained. The tenants have been there for a while. I feel like they have a feeling themselves to want to take care of it, and I think that'll prolong the life of any replacements made. Also, it's not the easiest for an ADU. So long-term plan, we'll start with talking about the EDU. There's plenty of space in the back for an additional unit to be built, but I just don't think it would be the most beneficial. That you'd be spending money on something that I recommend not keeping longer than 10 years. There isn't a garage you can renovate. There isn't a small mother-in-law unit you can just expand on. It would be a full-scale project and just take a lot of time and money. And I don't think for adding an extra $1,200 a month, it would really be worth those costs. That best plan I would say would be hold it for appreciation and just do a 1031 exchange. If you hold it for 10 years, you can take out a good portion. You can increase your equity by quite a bit by dropping your debt pay down. And I think that would give you an optimal time to kind of trade out of this property and get something more expensive in the area, because then you could go with a good down payment of like $700,000 to $800,000 down. And that is my recommendation for the property at 212 214 South Park View in Los Angeles, California. Thank you.